Next story coming from here in Canada, big one for us here. EB Games is becoming GameStop. So this is actually coming from Global News here in Toronto. GameStop Corporation said on Wednesday last week that Canadian stores of its subsidiary EB Games will assume the video game retailer's brand and name by end of the year. Grapevine, Texas-based GameStop had acquired EB Games owner Electronic Boutique Holdings Corporation in 2005 for more than $1 billion. EB Games has about 4,000 stores across Canada with operations in Australia, New Zealand, and countries across Europe, according to its LinkedIn page. This decision follows, and they said, this decision follows our receipt of feedback from our valued customers and stockholders, GameStop said. The company had been looking to shift its focus from brick and mortar sales and accelerate its e-commerce push. Its largest shareholder, Ryan Cohen, joined its board in January and became chairman last month with a plan to revive stores and boost online sales. Adam, why is EB Games becoming GameStop?
Because corporations like to waste money by rebranding everything to make it seem like it's fresh and new.
You think that's it?
I mean, other than the fact that it's just like, hey, we don't want to be complicated, let's just put it all under one banner. I can't see it being anything other than the two. It's either we just want to be one name, or if we change the name, it might make us look a little bit fresh again. Like, if there's an ulterior motive, like, I'd love to hear what you think, but, like, I can't see from a corporate perspective any other reason other than those two options.
Well, so I think the idea, so the one thing that they talk about here, they say that this decision follows a receipt of feedback from our valued customers and stock. No one's going to EB Games and being like, man, you guys are awesome, or like, whatever. I'd shop here more if you guys were called GameStop. Like, nobody's saying that. So it is not because customers are.
That's corporate speak for we just did something really stupid and we're just going to make up reasons for it so it looks good on a piece of paper to our investors.
So the reason, and this is totally speculation, I have no insight or anything, but I think one is that, like, right now, the GameStop name is pretty well known thanks to meme economics. Like, it is. Those guys at Wall Street Bet, shout out to you guys. You guys brought this stock back and it has some credence to its name now. Everyone kind of knows what GameStop is. Hell, even my dad knows what the hell GameStop, is thanks to that story. And also he buys me Christmas presents there. But, people who aren't in games now know of GameStop thanks to the guys at Wall Street Bet. So, like, there's some branding and some cash behind that name versus EB Games. I think what it talks about more is that its idea of shifting away from brick and mortar sales and accelerating its e-commerce push. I think if you have one brand, especially online, like, you don't want to have two different spaces. So I think having one large e-commerce site, it makes it a lot easier to kind of aggregate everyone to that one spot. You're not having to go to different websites. You can have just one domain that kind of siphons everyone there and then divvy them up to, like, locations as they're needed. And I think it's also, it saves money from a branding perspective. You're not paying to brand things twice. You're not paying two separate organizations and you're not paying for two domains or anything like that. Like, it streamlines it.
It's nothing that complicated. Like, it's just coming down to, like, hey, it's a lot easier for us to be recognized as one brand. Like, Walmart wouldn't be going around giving themselves 12 different names in different parts of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to go back real quick just to kind of circle back because I just found that information. So July 29th is when the Blue Box pre-launch app came out. So you can preload that into PS5. And August 10th. So this time next week, we'll know what the hell Blue Box is working on.
Unless it's a Kojima game, in which case we may still have no idea what it is yet.
Oh, that game will come out 5 years from now if it's a Kojima game. We still won't know what the hell it's about. Circling back to EB Games, though, yeah, I think we're totally right. I think it's just a matter of it's easier to brand it, put it all in one spot, have one name and one brand, and just build that brand up. Do you have any, like, feelings towards EB Games or GameStop? Which one, like, does one mean more than the other?
I mean, I'll be harsh as shit. I haven't been in one of those stores in 4 years, so I could care less what they call themselves.
Really? So let's actually talk about this because I don't think we've ever talked about it. Like, where do you stand on, like, the whole EB Games, GameStop? Where do you fall on that? Because I know it's a very divisive store for people like us.
It doesn't bother me personally. Like, I've still gone into them, like before the pandemic, when I would still go to the mall with my girlfriend. I'd still pop in while she's in a Lush, so I don't walk into the store and literally have my nostrils assaulted by freaking smells.
Well,
so
there
I'll
goes
go
that
into a
sponsorship.
GameStop in the meantime. But like, I could not tell you the last purchase I made in one. It's been a long time, and it's not necessarily to do with the store. Like, I used to have a lot of friends that worked at GameStop or EB Games, depending on what you're looking at. Didn't bother me either way, and it just came down to, well, most of the games I buy now, I buy through the PlayStation Digital Store or through Amazon, because it's usually got better deals and it's free shipping, so I don't have to think about that stuff. So it's the same reason why a lot of people have stopped really shopping at GameStop. It's not worth it when you really think of their sale prices. Usually aren't that great. You got to go in now to the store to go get them, or you got to pay for shipping for these things. I don't know. I haven't used their website in forever. And there's, like, realistically, you're going in there, if you're not going in there for games, you're going in there for all the random, like, toys and clothes and stuff like that. To which case I go, I don't need an Overwatch t-shirt, so I'm good.
You see, I'm the opposite. I really like EB Games, and I particularly like the one by my house. Like, I've got one walking distance away. Shout out to the guys at Ajax. You know, you guys are awesome. But yeah, for me, like, I like the fact that that is a store that caters to me, and like, I know that the employees there are just as excited and passionate about this hobby as I am. And so you can't get that from an Amazon. You can't get that from a Best Buy. You can't get that from a Walmart. And those stores don't care. Like, they don't really see value in selling games. It's an extra thing just to get people in, but that's not their bread and butter. And so to have a store that, for the most part, and I mean, I know that their business practices aren't great. Like, the trade-in things kind of suck, but like, that's anywhere. Where else are you gonna be able to trade games? If you don't like that, sell it yourself.
Kijiji.
I mean, I've never understood that. Exactly. I've never understood that thing. It's the same as if you take it to a pawn shop, you're going to get very little for it. They're a mediator, or like a middleman. So for them, like, they have to get it at a cheap price. I totally get it. Does it suck? Yeah, kind of. But like, that's how the business model is. If you don't like it, don't do it. But for me, it's the only store that I can think of that if I wanted to talk to someone about video games, if I wanted an opinion, if I'm looking for a game, I, for the most part, know it's there. And if it's not there, I could easily get it. And in terms of your argument with sales, like, I find that, the sales are pretty universal. If Best Buy is having a sale, if Amazon's having a sale, generally the price is the same across the board. They all have the same sales. So it's,
but then I have to walk to the store. I have to drive to the store to go get it. Whereas I can just click on Amazon and be like, and done.
Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of arguments about, like, the problems with Amazon in general too.
Well, and I've said this with Amazon before. It's like, look, I'd like to boycott them as much, but who's gonna offer me free shipping with the same price?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's devils in the details of any store that you use, and for me, it's like, it's a store that I like, and it's a store I support, and I do hope that they stay in business.
If there was one really close to me, maybe I would look at it differently. But like, the nearest one for me is like a 10-minute drive, to which I'm like, I could care less.
Oh yeah, mine is like a 15-20 minute walk, so it's great. Like, a new game comes out, I'll walk up, I'll go pick it up. It's great. And like, the guys are awesome there. Like, if you are looking for a game that you've never tried before, like, they have some good suggestions. But it's also it's a great place to get those knickknacks and that crap that you really can't get anywhere else.
/don't need.
100% don't need. Like, dude, most of the stuff in this basement of mine is crap I don't need. It doesn't mean I don't want it though. I do think though, and let's actually talk about this. Like, so how would you change EB Games or GameStop if you wanted to make it viable? And I think you brought up a great point. I think they need to get tighter in terms of what they're offering. Like, I find that there's a lot of knickknacks and crap that nobody really cares or wants or needs. I think, like, focus, like, if you could make it sort of the experience that you could get when you go to a fan expo or a Comic-Con or something like that. Niche, high quality kind of collectible stuff, some cool shirts, some cool stuff, but like, don't like try and get stuff that doesn't look like super geeky, or like, I don't know what the term is, but you see those cringy like gaming shirts and stuff, and like,
yeah, they get a little bit too far, or it's like, guys, just get a shirt with Diva on the friggin' front. You don't need to go complicated. You don't need to be like, I'm a gamer, or you have a mug that's just being like, my health right now. Like, it's like, guys, that's friggin' Etsy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like
it's not complicated, guys. Have a shirt with Call of Duty on it. Have a shirt with Overwatch stuff on it. Have a shirt with Link's face. Like, get one of these shirts. People will buy it. You don't need a gamer cred shirt. You just need a shirt that gamers would wear.
Yeah, like even you know what? Just like for me, like the gaming shirts that I have is I like the ones that are like subtle. Whereas if you know the game, if you're into games, you get it, and if you don't, like I have a Division shirt, and it's got like the Division Eagle logo, and it's got like their logo and whatever, some like Latin stuff on there, and I've gotten tons of people who are like, "Oh, that's a cool shirt." And they have no idea it's a video game shirt. They just like the design. It's like an orange eagle on a black shirt. But then I've got guys who, play the video games and they're like, dude, that's awesome. Or I've got one where it's just got like the sacred symbols. I think we've talked about it before. We've got like the logos of the PlayStation buttons there. And it's like very subtle, but like if you know, and otherwise it just looks like a neat design shirt. Like don't make them cringy. Don't make them like cheesy. Like I think like most of the people who are into this stuff now are at an age where they have disposable income that they could buy some high quality stuff. And like, if you made your brand like, hey, we've got awesome geek stuff, like we've got geek apparel and merch, and it's not just tacky, cheesy, cringy stuff, I think people would buy it.
Hashtag not sponsored. I mean, obviously, but there is a shop that I used to use that's out in Europe called Insert Coin Clothing, and they do incredible merchandise that's gaming related. Most of them are not on the nose. Most of them are very subtle. Like I'm a big Persona guy. They have a Big Bang Burger t-shirt, which is a restaurant in the game. And it looks like just some weird, like, I don't know, like you went to some random like burger shop in the middle of nowhere, like some random like one-off mom and pop shirt in like Louisiana somewhere. Like, and yet it's a t-shirt that Persona fans will look at and be like, that's friggin' cool. Where'd you get that? Like, it's a conversation starter kind of shirt. Whereas
and you have that moment, like
EB Games shirts, they're all just, oh, this guy's an idiot that went to EB Games and bought a t-shirt.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, and it's awesome when you have those subtle shirts and you have someone who kind of like stops you, says like, man, awesome shirt. Like, because in that moment, it's like, you guys, like, he's picking up what you're putting down, but you're not advertising it to everyone. And I think that's like the awesome aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like one of the cool shirts I had, and I got it from EB Games, is like, it's a Stormtrooper shirt, and it looks like it's a normal Stormtrooper helmet, but inside it's got like different like parts of like like you've got different sort of, I guess, silhouettes, I guess, or etchings. You guys have probably seen it on the show before, but it has like all different scenes and characters from Star Wars, but it looks subtle. Like it's, and that's the thing. I feel like EB Games needs to try and cater to a more mature audience.
I don't even know if it's mature is the right word. I just mean they need to stop treating their clientele like idiots. Because when you have gamer health mugs on your shelf, it's like, guys, we're not. No, you need to like take us like serious fans. Like we like our stuff. We're not just here to buy something that says gamer on it. Like we don't want the most simple like stuff. Like you're allowed to sell a shirt that just has the Hylian shield on it. That's fine, but you can also go a little bit deeper than that too. Like there are so many shops out there online that do what every fan wishes they could get in their local stores. Like Hot Topic, tries, but they only really go towards like the biggest games. So you're basically choosing within like 10 games. So you're not getting too much. So like you expect the game store that's the biggest in the country here in Canada and obviously in the States as well to be like,
I would say the world. Like I think with the exception of like I think in the UK,
I was gonna say I'm not sure what the difference is like game in UK comparison, but
you know what, we'll say I think it's fair to say globally one of the biggest.
It's top two. So like, I would expect that store, if they're gonna sell apparel, to at least sell something to like their actual clientele, not a bunch of like parents that are gonna buy that for their kids because they just see gamer on the front of it.
Yeah. Who knows?
Now, you asked me what I would do. Here's the problem with that question. They are not willing to already take my idea because it would require more store space, because you've noticed GameStop's getting slowly smaller and smaller as they put more and more stores in. It's simple. Put a couple of TVs there with a couple of like consoles there so guys can try demos. Maybe you have a tournament in there once in a blue moon. Like you do something. Like you create a community. That's what a lot of people used to be at GameStops. I used to know people that would frequent there all the time. I used to know the shopkeepers there. No one does anymore. You walk in, you get your game, and you get out. There's no point in being in that store now. And gamers are not a pop in and pop out thing. We're a community. We love to talk about our craft. We love to talk about the stuff that we love. And if GameStop is just Walmart for gamers, who cares? It doesn't mean anything. And I think people were just like, fine, I'll go to Amazon then because they do it better.
Yeah.
Like I think you would have to do something in a community aspect that, like, I don't know what they could really do in terms of their merchandise apart from, like we said, maybe a little bit better apparel. But like how much store shelving can you fill up with random trinkets before it gets to the point that people are going, are you even a game store anymore? Or are you just Hot Topic 2.0? In which case, I'll just go to Hot Topic because they do Hot Topic better.
Yeah. I hear you with that, and I definitely think there's some merit. Like, you'd have to be careful how you set that up, though, because, like, they're like, you can run into the issue of, like, who then becomes the target audience. Is it the kid, like, the 14-year-old after school who just hangs out at the EB Games until they have to go home? Or, like,
maybe you work them with the gold cards. Be like, hey,
know.
you have this gold card. Maybe even it's a platinum one, so you got to make them really pay for it. It's like, hey, you got a platinum card, plop up over there. You can play. You can play it for half an hour. I don't know what you do. Like, figure something out. But like, it's honestly, if you really asked me that question and you wanted me to have a serious answer, the answer is I don't think you have anything you can do. I think you just survive as best you can. I don't really know what they can do.
Well, I think they do some. I think they do some cool stuff to differentiate themselves. Like, I know right now with the platinum membership, I think you can have it where you can buy a game and you have 7 days to return it for, like, store credit, which is something that none of your competitors do. But like, it's intriguing. Like, the idea of having EB Games sort of be the comic book shop of video games is definitely something that might have some credence.
Like, you don't even have to do it for every store. Like, you can even, like, if you're in, say, a city like Toronto or Hamilton, or depending on where you are in the US, like Chicago, New York, LA, like, you can have, like, for every 5 stores, you have one hub where it's like the bigger store that has stuff like that.
Yeah,
it doesn't have
like
to be in
GameStop
every
lounge
store. Like, I wouldn't, something like that. I wouldn't expect, like, some random store in the middle of nowhere in Iowa would do it, but I would imagine, like, if you have a large population in the area that you are, like, you can have, if your area can house more than one GameStop, I could see you being able to pull off the lounge. As kind of like in some ways, like, you know how some people are like there's a bunch of McDonald's, but there's always the real good McDonald's or the real good Starbucks. Like, there's that.
Yeah, it's an interesting, like, I definitely think, like, if you need to for EB Games to succeed, you need to harness the community that we have. But I don't know how you do that.
That's the thing. I have no idea either. It's I'm literally just doing what probably they're all doing in the office, which is throwing darts at the wall and hoping something works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that, or you go into, like, the retro market, maybe, like, you start becoming, like, a distributor of retro gaming. And I know that they're starting to dabble in that, but I don't know. It's a hard one.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, there's, especially when you're talking these small stores, there's only so much you can put in that space. Like, it'd be really cool if we saw retro games in there again, but they barely have enough space as it is. You're not going to see a shelf with a couple of Retron consoles with, like, a few Super Nintendo games and Sega Genesis games and N64 games. Like, it's not going to work that way. Not to mention that these things aren't being mass produced, so it's a hard thing to do. That when I've seen people suggest the retro gaming idea, I'm like, I don't think they can pull it off.
But you see, the retro gaming is an interesting one because it becomes almost like a Winners or a Home sense where it's, you don't, like, they don't stock every game, but you pop in to see what's there, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's the same thing anybody does with, like, a Value Village or a thrift store, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you want to go for. If you want it to be, like, something that people remember you for, I don't know if that's really enough to get people's foot in the door.
No, like, if I was like, if I knew that no matter what EB Games I went into, I could get pretty much any they'd have games for any console. I'm now, like, when I'm going away on vacation, and this sounds lame, but if I'm, like, in another city and I'm like, oh, there's a GameStop here, I'm going to stop and see which retro games they have.
Sure.
Because what my store has is different from theirs. And suddenly I'm in the store now and I could be looking and like maybe they don't have a game I want, but maybe there's a good deal on something that's current, or maybe they have one of those like trinkets that I'm interested in, right?
Well, the question would be then how many people would be like that, because not everybody is a collector or a retro gamer. So that's the other thing too is, both our ideas are good. I just think like mine would be something that would be much more involved with more gamers than just like a small segment that are collecting old games. Because I mean, no offense, but what does your idea do for people that are 12 years old?
Nothing.
Like you're not really getting the segment of like high school and back. You're not really catching that market. Like you're really basically selling it to, I guess, like 30-plus-year-old gamers or parents who want to go and relive their old days. But it's is that really going to be what gets you back on your feet? To which, like I said, I don't know if either answers do it. It's just guessing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Clearly, we are not meant to be CEOs.
I mean, we'd probably be better off of doing it than the guy who was running Blizzard for a while.
That's true. We're hands off, so there we go.